Welcome to the Bushido Gang. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Attack on Samurott, bringing you all the finals of my ADV OU tournament. So, this is it. This is the finals of my tournament. So, this is Kiru-Dakas versus Watermess. So, gotta say, first off, before we actually get into this, discuss this match, I do want to say that this was my first ever tournament. And honestly, I'm really happy about how it went. And yeah, so, I guess a little bit of background for each player. Watermess has been very, his skills have been, very good throughout my tournament. Another side note is that he is actually an SBL. So he's talented enough to be a part of the Smogon Premier League. So that kind of tells you about the skills that this player has. Kiru-Dakas is also pretty confident in his ADV abilities. So I feel like this was going to be a really good match. And again, can't wait to see how this goes. And yeah, so hope you guys are excited. If you guys are excited for this match, please be sure to leave a like and comment. And also, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe as well. So without further ado, let's dive in. I got the Yu Yu Hakusho music in the back, so you already know. So let's get it. All right, so turn one. As you can see, there's a Registeel and a Machamp. These are two leads you never see. You never see a lead like this in ADV, so you know this is going to be a very interesting match. So let's see. So turn one, Machamp lead, switch out into the jump left from Kiru-Dakas. So jump left comes in. Jump left is a very funny mon. It's very funny because there's a lot you can do with it. You can throw off status with it, which can help out your team. Being able to sleep things or even Sunspore things is just like really nice. You could also run sub Leech Seed to get some recovery for the rest of your team as well. So Jump Left is a very support heavy mon in ADV, and definitely this was like I'd probably say the highlight of Jump Left's I guess like the rise of Jump Left really being like I guess a staple thing in the OU metagame, or at least having a niche in OU, I mean to say. So yeah, with T-Star coming in here, it's not really looking too good for the jump left, but here comes the sleep on the switch-in. So now that Kiru has slept the T-Tar, that means he could leech seed on something for free, as he is going to do just that, but unfortunately he misses on the Jirachi switch-in. So Mez brings in the Jirachi, which can do a lot of damage to him and potentially fire punch him. Goes for a body slam on Registeel, so there's a pair back as well. So status for status is coming down on both players. In comes Machamp on the switch into Forage. So Fori's in here now, and Fori can get some spikes down, which can wear down Mess's offensive mons. But a bulk up comes off from the Machamp, which is going to be pretty threatening to Fori, as Cross Chop can do a lot of damage, or even Rock Slide as well, doing 31%. Gets a flinch there too, so that is looking pretty rough for Kiru. But Kiru can take whatever this goes for. Cross Chop comes down, does a lot, so it doesn't take it that well. Boom comes down, and Boom is going to keep that Machamp low. In comes Doom to actually finish the Machamp art with a Pursuit, or whatever wants to go for HP Grass and such. So HP Grass will come down and knock out Machamp. In comes Arrow, and Arrow is dangerous, man. Arrow is a dangerous mon. As Bandit can just come down and just he can just throw off a Rock Slide. And because Registeel is paralyzed, that means that Mess has the option to para-flinch the Registeel. But for Kiru, he can make two options. He could predict Mess can make a double here because he knows that Registeel will come in. So he could potentially switch back and bring in Jirachi, and Jirachi, if it has Fire Punch, can put a lot of pressure on Kiru. So he could do just that, and Kiru could just switch out right now. If honestly Kiru is in the position to switch, he has to switch because a Rock Slide coming down could hurt him. Even if an Earthquake comes down from Registeel or comes down from Arrow hitting Registeel, Earthquake even from Bandit Arrow should do around, I think, 30%, a little over 30. I'm not too familiar with the Registeel calcs because I don't use it that much. But I do know one player that uses Registeel quite a bit, and that's Linear. Linear being like one of the current best ADV players right now. He's very creative with his builds, and can just really use whatever he wants and can make it work. Now let's see. Let's do some calculating on Arrow. So if Mess goes for an Earthquake, it does 54 to 64% to Reggie if it's going to be a set like this, which is definitely a lot. Now, if he's going to be like a defensive set, let's see if I can find a defensive set. I'm assuming Registeel can be ran defensively, but let's see. Impish. Oh, okay, so he could be this then. Okay, so never mind. Bandit still does a lot of damage. It still does a lot of damage, so never mind. But if he's like a max defense variant, which I guess isn't likely then, I don't know, it can still do a lot. Let's just see what happens. So Doom is gonna have to switch out and go into Reggie, as Mess is gonna go for the Earthquake, and it does 50%. So yeah, that is and since he led Reggie, so it must have been, hold up, wait a minute. So it must have been this spread right here, the lead Registeel set. So okay. Or like a variant that's similar to this, but if Earthquake did 50% right there, and that means he got a mid roll right there. So yeah, that's definitely gonna matter quite a bit for Kiru, and also that means that now his Registeel can't really switch in comfortably to anything. So this is looking pretty bad for Kiru. But let's see how he plays around this. So Kiru is going to stay in here and go for, and actually switch into Jump Left. Okay, that's fine. Jump Left being in here is good. That means he could lead seed this if he wants to. So let's see if he is going to go for the lead seed there. So good play on his part for doing that. Jump Left is going to get a little bit more health back, even with the sand coming down too. But still, it's going to be relatively healthy. In comes the switching into Jirachi as Kiru goes for the sub there. So that means now he could lead seed this now. So yeah, this is basically Jump Left's main goal, or main job. Its main job is to lead seed things down, and just wear down Mess quite a bit. Here comes Fire Punch, so there's the Fire Punch I was talking about. So now what Kiru can do is that he can try and predict the Houndoom, or he can just sub here. He actually goes T-Tar instead on the Fire Punch switch in. So if this T-Tar was physical, this would have hurt him quite a bit. But at least he's gonna help. Goes for a DD right off bat, and then Mess counters him with the HP fighting. Yo, that is clean. That is clean. I'm pretty sure that's HP fighting, because it shouldn't be doing damage like that if it was HP grass. So this being like a mixed Jirachi is pretty interesting. He could also be he could also be HP steel, which is likely. Let me see. Let's see. That's a very weird Jirachi set, I have to say. So let's say he's mixed. So Dynamic Punch versus T-Tar. And they did actually update the I think they updated the spreads. So let's say Bulky DD. Yeah, they did update the spreads. So Bulky DD, Dynamic Punch doing 75 to 89%. Let's check out HP Steel and see if Mess has that. If he does, then that damage mattered a lot. If he was HP Fighting, then that still mattered. Let's see, HP Steel, 40 to 47%. That did 63. Yeah, that's definitely HP Fighting. That is 1000% HP Fighting. So he was clearly running the mix set. Let's see, HP Fighting, if I could find it. HP Fighting, there we go. So let's see. Yeah, that's about it. So you got a high roll from what it looks like. So let's see who's faster here. It looks like the Jirachi's still faster, I think. Or actually, no, the T-Tar might have been Lum. But if he goes for DD again, then we know that, Kiru might have made a misplay here. But let's see. He did go for DD again. So because of that, T-Tar is gonna fall, which is pretty unfortunate. I'm assuming that Kiru did that in case he wanted to switch out, maybe fearing the Earthquake. But let's check how much +1 Earthquake would have done to Jirachi. Just to be sure and make sure that it would have outsped him. So let's see. Looks like Mixed Jirachi actually doesn't run a lot of speed anyway, but it seems as though that at +1 he actually would have knocked him out there. So I think if I were Kiru, I probably would have just went for it, even if I was at +1. But I can see why it would have been tough for him to go for Earthquake. And again, he's not too certain about the speed, so it makes sense. But still, I definitely think I would have went for the Earthquake there. But it's fine. It's fine. Houndoom can come. Houndoom is in here, which means it could actually put some pressure on with HP. Not HP. With the Fire Blast. Let's see what he's gonna do. So what is Kiru gonna do against this Jirachi? And it looks like the Doom is actually faster as well. So here comes the Roar, which is a very solid play predicting the T-Tar coming in. Catching T-Tar on the switch. So now Rachi's gonna be taking even more damage, which is great. But yeah, Houndoom can go for the Fire Blast again, or even go for HP Grass if he wants to. Goes for the Fire Blast and does a really good chunk to Arrow. A burn would have been really nice there too. That would have definitely helped his remaining Mon in the back, whatever that Mon is. And also, it would allow for Houndoom to actually live the Earthquake slash Rock Slide, or whatever this whatever Arrow would do. But definitely Rock Slide is more in Mess's favor. Yeah, still looking pretty tough though. Kiru is forced to switch out again, so he has to go back into Registeel, or he could go into Jump Left on the Earthquake. Goes Milotic. Rock Slide is gonna come down and hit that Milotic pretty hard actually. Kiru is gonna switch out, Mess is gonna switch out the Arrow and bring in Zapdos, which is huge. Zapdos being in here, Zapdos being in here is pretty threatening for Kiru. But at the same time, Kiru can also force out the Zapdos depending on if he's faster, and it seems like, judging by the chat, his Houndoom is actually, or Kiru's Houndoom is actually faster than Zapdos. So that means that Kiru can go for the Fire Blast here and get some really good damage on Zapdos. So Fire Blast comes down, it does 49% exactly. Thunderbolt comes down on the Houndoom, doing roughly 56%. So judging by how well Zapdos, or actually how well the Houndoom took the hit, we can kind of tell that his Houndoom is, it's a bulky variant, which is, kind of common in ADV because Houndoom needs to be bulky enough to take hits from Gengar and then be able to pursue it, or just to pursue any ghosts, or just anything in general, for it to be bulky enough to pursue things. So yeah, that's why I was able to take Thunderbolt very well, and Mess's Zapdos must have been pretty bulky to even take the Fire Blast that well too. So he's forced to switch out and bring in the T-Tar as Kiru goes for the Fire Blast again. He could go for the HP Grass and potentially kill the Tar, but let's see what he does instead. He is going to go into the Lax here, and Lax is pretty threatening. HP Grass comes down, doing no type of damage, and now Kiru's in a really, really bad spot because this Lax can just curse up right now and can kind of just win the game. So let's see what happens here. Goes for a Fire Blast. Fire Blast is just 35%. Curse comes down. If you can get a high roll with Fire Blast, he might be able to do it. Maybe even a crit as well. If he gets the Fire Blast crit, let's see. Goes into Registeel instead. On the Body Slam coming down. Body Slam doing 20%. Lax can just curse again, or Kiru can just go for whatever. Earthquake comes down instead, so Earthquake's gonna knock out Reggie. In comes the Jump Left, which can just sub Leech Seed again if it wants to. Goes Arrow instead, and Kiru goes for the Encore. I can kind of see why he went Encore, but at the same time, I think subbing would have been a little bit more effective even, or even Leech Seed would have been good too, because then that would allow him to actually knock out the Lax, and he still would have Milo, and he would still have Milo back, or in the back, to deal with Rachi plus T-Tar, potentially. But yeah, Jump Left's in here now on the Arrow. It's going to go into the Milotic on the Double Edge, and Double Edge is going to do a really mean chunk to that Milotic. So Milotic is just getting thrashed. So there goes Milotic, and that's going to be the game. So yeah, it seemed really difficult for Kiru to really get his footing, because Mess was being aggressive with Aerodactyl and even the Jirachi. I do think that Kiru's misplay was not going for the damage on Rachi when he should have. But again, T-Tar doesn't usually run max speed in ADV. They don't need to go max speed, or they don't need to go Jolly max speed or anything. They can just go Adamant and then just go a good chunk in HP, and the rest can follow into a speed. Again, T-Tar is mainly there, T-Tar being a sweeper doesn't have to go fully speed, they can just go max HP, a good chunk in attack, and then just the leftovers going in speed, so it can still outspeed what it needs to. Being able to like being able to EV your T-Tar to outspeed the neutral base 100s is kind of the goal for DD-Tar. But again, Kiru probably thought that that Rachi might have wanted to switch here, which is fair. That is fair to make. But so again, if I were Kiru, I would have Earthquaked the Jirachi, because that thing was doing way too much damage with HP fighting. And if Kiru kept the T-Tar around, it would have been able to break through a lot of the rest of his team pretty well. So yeah, it probably did come down to Kiru getting nervous around the Jirachi, which is fair to make. Very fair. But I do have to say that I think he played pretty well, though. I really do think that Kiru played pretty well. Mess, on the other hand, he played very well. Again, with the Jirachi, the arrow, and the Lax as well. Even the Machamp was pretty useful too, because it was able to remove the Fortress right off that, and it did force the boom there too. So yeah, it kind of worked in Mess's favor. But again, if Kiru went for the Earthquake there, things would have went a little bit more differently, I'd say. He probably had a decent shot with my Milotic too. He probably had a better shot with my Milotic, had he got the damage off, you know. But still, it is what it is. That's going to be game 1. So now let's move on to game 2. So game 2. Mess versus Kiru. So this game determines who is going to be the final of the tournament, or if it moves on to a game 3. And so far, Mess has not had any game 3s throughout this whole tournament. Granted, again, my tournament has been pretty small. But still, he has not had a game 3. Mess has not had a game 3 so far. While Kiru, I think he's had one game 3. But yes, let's talk about this match right here. So this match is pretty insane. So Kiru leads with T-Tar and Mess leads with Vaporeon. Now this lead is pretty it's pretty bad. It's a pretty bad lead for Kiru. Because Vaporeon can do a lot of things. But at the same time, well, actually no, I'm not going to say that. At the same time, well, no, it can do multiple things. Vaporeon being, like, you know, the offensive water type of the metagame, or one of the offensive water types in the ADV metagame. Vaporeon can do quite a bit. It can be a support mon with sub plus baton pass, and then can pass subs into a potential sweeper, or just into a mon that can, you know, get some damage going early. So like subbing into sub passing into a Dragon Dancer, like Salamence or even T-Tar, is kind of Vaporeon's job on some offensive teams. Now Kiru is not in a good spot because Mess could do one of two things. Actually, one of three things. No, actually two things. He could just pump this thing right off bat if he wants to, just get the damage off and potentially kill Tar, or he could sub here and then force out the T-Tar. So let's see what Kiru is going to do. He is going to be forced out and bringing the Starmie as Mess goes for the sub. Again, pretty much like a pretty basic play to make, or pretty standard play to make. So again, Mess is going to make the play to sub in case Tar went for like a Rock Slide if he wanted to stay in, or again switch out. So either way, it worked very well for Mess, and Starmie's in here. So Starmie being in here could actually be, you know, pretty good for Kiru, because that means that, you know, Kiru could potentially Thunderbolt this thing and can break the sub. Like Starmie normally can be pretty offensive, but there's also some variants that can be defensive as well, which are meant to be like kind of support, or that are meant to be like more support oriented. Support Starmie is more like a current gen kind of thing. You don't really see it too much in ADV, or even in like Gen 4, even in Gen 5. Even like going, actually no, in Gen 2 you definitely see it run like T-Wave and such, or even Toxic. But in ADV, Starmie can be either defensive, but most of the time it's going to be offensive too, especially like an offensive spinner. That's kind of like its job, or that's kind of one of its main jobs in ADV. So Again, bold Starmie, like bold max defense Starmie, um, could be pretty bad if Kiru does have that. But again, I'm assuming that his Starmie is going to be more offensive, which is why you want to bring it in and try and force out the Vaporeon. So let's see. He's actually going to switch out and bring in the Mets. And then Mets goes for a sub there. So it makes sense because, you know, if he Thunderbolted, he would have subbed again. Now with Mets, with Kiru bringing in the Mets, that kind of told Mess that, okay, it seems like his Starmie doesn't have anything to hit me with, so I can freely pass the sub into something. As Mets is in here. He could also Ice Beam too. And he goes into the Starmie to catch the Ice Beam. So Kiru made a good play there as Mess, you know, goes for the Ice Beam there. Because whatever Mence did, it wasn't going to kill it wasn't going to, you know, do enough to, I mean, it would break the sub, but he loses Mence in the process. And I don't think Kiru really wants that. So yeah, he brings in Blissey. And here comes the sub and the pass into the Dragonite. And well, let's just say it's not looking too good for Kiru right now. So, and especially with that Focus Punch coming down too. Starmie comes in and takes the Focus Punch, and it does very little damage. So again, you can kind of tell just based off that damage that this Starmie is very bulky. Because normally, Focus Punch would probably do around 40% if he was offensive. If I recall, let's see. So Starmie versus, let's say Dragonite. Standard DD. We can just put Focus Punch over that, over Thunder. So Focus Punch. Alright, so Focus Punch right here. So Focus Punch to an offensive Starmie does 38 to 45%, which is very good damage anyway. So yeah, it's very good damage. But yeah, as you saw, it did 26. So, or 27 actually. So that means that, this Starmie is very defensive, and it can't really touch this Dragonite back, especially because, you know, Starmie, if it's defensive, usually only has one move, and that's Surf, to, you know, hit Tar and hit, like, other things as well. So you can't really break through. Dragonite's going to go at +2 now after the +1, and now it's going to be kind of a sweep. So Mess is going to finish him off now. Earthquake comes down. That's going to knock out the Metagross, and comes Heracross, as Dragonite most likely has HP Flying, so HP Flying will come down, and it will destroy the Heracross as well. So there goes Hera. In comes Starmie. So Starmie can take the hit, which is insane, but it can take the hit. Goes for a third DD. So Mess is making sure that this Starmie goes down. But ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna see this Starmie is not gonna go down after this HP Flying. 86%. So let's actually do some calcing, shall we? Let's do some calcing. Let's see. Let's go +2, or actually +3. So +3. Again, HP Flying normally kills Starmie. Now let's make it defensive. Let's make it defensive, like fully, like max, because that seems like what Kiru is running. So max defense, probably a little bit in speed. So max defense, Starmie, yeah, 78 to 97 or to 90%. So yeah, it was gonna live a +3 HP Flying, which is insane. Very insane. Now again, if Kiru did have Ice Beam or even Thunderbolt, this situation could have been easily avoided. But however, that is not the case, and that is pretty much going to be the game, as again, Mess kind of just sweeps him. So that is going to be the end of the ADV OU tournament. So the winner of the ADV of the Bushido Gang ADV OU tournament is going to be Watermess. So congratulations to Watermess. He now has bragging rights in my Discord, and he also has his own title as well in the in my Discord. So yeah. Again, I think they both played very well. Again, especially Kiru in the first game. I think he played very well. He definitely had a better matchup in the beginning. I'd say, oh, actually not. It was still pretty bad in the beginning, but he was still able to come back a little bit with the jump left to get some recovery going, and he was still able to play off well with Houndoom as well. Again, the T-Tar was definitely a misplay on his part, but I think in this game he did better than he did in game 2. So let's actually evaluate this game. Let's go back to turn 1. Let's just go back to turn 1. So turn 1. All right. So let's see. So with the tar switching out into the Vaporeon, or I mean with the tar switching on to Starmie, and then Mess going for the sub there. Like I said, that was the best play Mess could make because it covered all his options. It legit covered every option that Kiru could have went for. So if this Starmie did have Thunderbolt and it did break the sub, then Mess would have just subbed again, or he would have baton passed after the sub broke. Then he could have went to something else faster, which would have probably dealt with Starmie. Depending on what he had. Again, we don't know what Mess was running besides Vape and Dragonite. Maybe he had another DD sweeper in the back. Maybe it could have been a Gyarados too. Who knows? But again, Kiru just wasn't able to really get going. The Vape just kind of really did him in. Just really did him in. But yeah, not much Kiru can do again in this matchup. Goes Mence there on the sub. In hindsight, I think going Blissey early might have been better too. I think if Kiru went Blissey early, he could have been able to stop this. Granted, again, we don't know what Mess had. He could have had a Doug on this team too, and then be able to deal with Blissey's and such. Because Blissey can wall a Vaporeon pretty well. Or he can wall like pretty much every special attacker, even most physical attackers in ADV, just because of how bulky it is. But yeah, I don't know if switching into Mence was really the right play. I definitely think that that going into Blissey would have given Kiru a little bit more leverage. Granted, it also would have meant a free sub though too. It would have meant a free sub or a free pass. But yeah, the Ice Beam coming down to, again, Mess making the right play to Ice Beam there. Let's just skip another turn. Blissey there. Yeah, again, if he went for the Blissey like turn 2 instead, he would have gotten a lot more off here, I think. Don't know what kind of Blissey he was, but any type of Blissey can deal with Vape. And if he has sub, then it can break a or I mean, if he has Seismic Toss, then it can break every sub, unless this one at max HP, which Vaporeon probably did. Because Vaporeon has very high HP, so it can usually go like a really good chunk into its HP to be able to not have to deal with Blissey's Seismic Tosses. So I think, actually, let me find the spread. Let's see, Vaporeon, because again, Vaporeon just naturally has a lot of HP, so they run this spread. Oh, not this spread. It's the other spread. The sub pass one. Wall, phaser. Okay, it's not that. Bop. Actually, I think it was. I know it wasn't that one. It's the again, sub Vape with well, it was sub Ice Beam, Baton Pass, and then Hydro Pump, or sub Roar, Baton Pass, and then Hydro Pump. They run like variants like that. So yeah, but usually they go like max HP to be able to avoid the toss from breaking, or to avoid the sub from breaking. Because as you can see, even like no investment, it can still take a sub, or I mean, it can still take a toss, as you can see. So they usually can go like somewhere around here, just to avoid the sub from breaking, and then just go max special attack and then max speed. So yeah, he could break the sub, but then he has to go for the sub on the next, or he has to go for the toss on the next mon. And yeah, so I think pretty much Mess covered all of his options. So yeah, the sub there, and then Dragonite just sets up and sweeps. So again, I don't think Kiru played bad. I just think he had a bad matchup. But like I said, that covers the finals of my ADV OU tournament. So if you guys did enjoy all the coverage I've been posting for it, please make sure to leave a like and comment as well. I do plan on doing future tournaments. I do plan on doing more tournaments in the future, and yeah, Actually, speaking of a tournament, I do plan on having a SSOU tournament sometime in the near future. So, you know, be on the lookout for that. um, but yeah, again, I'm very happy about how this tournament went. It went very smoothly. So again, congratulations to all the players that played. And yeah, again, I'm looking forward to doing more of these tournaments in the near future. So that's gonna be that. So again, congratulations to Watermess, and good job, Kiru. You played your heart out. So that's gonna be that. Be safe, wash your hands, and I will see you in more. Or now, wow, I can't talk. I will see you for some more Pokemon Sword and Shield / old gen content. So peace out.